Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Welcome to another episode of Let's Finally Talk with me, Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. For those of you who are new to my show or new to our network or platform, welcome. It's a pleasure and honor to have you with us today. I'd love to have you join us on our YouTube channels, which I'm going to bring up a slide. They are USA Global TV and Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. So we are actually live streaming right now to 12 different platforms, but I'd love for you to go over to YouTube because we get real information about what you like, what's resonating with you, where people are watching from. It really helps us when we are creating our broadcasting for the next month. So you've probably, if you've joined before, you've heard me talk many times about some of the subjects that are actually under the umbrella that I like to talk about, elevated listening. So we're going to talk about how our ego can distort what we see and how we look at our own work. Many times people will tell us they're working really hard or they're very busy. And if you know anything about me, the word busy is a 4-letter word. There's nothing, busy to me is like the word fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. There's no information in that. How are you? I'm busy. It's an ego-based word. Basically, that whatever we're doing is super important and the other person couldn't possibly understand what it is. So to me, our ego can influence the perception that we have about our own work. And I'll give an example. Those of you who know me, you know I love to work out. I've been working out since I was 16, and I'm also a certified instructor, and I was also a personal trainer for many years, and I've had a trainer over the years. And one thing that I've always noticed when you look around, you see a lot of people, depending where you're going, you might see a lot of people, it might be the same people, but what you don't actually see is a lot of change. The same people are coming and working out and spending time, but they look exactly the same. So the question is, are there improvements? Are there things that are actually new and improved? Or are they spending time doing the same things and not really getting a lot of bang for their buck, so to speak? And I've seen this many times when it comes to fitness studios. And I'll give an example that I personally can relate to. I was a member of something, I'm not going to tell the name, but it's, you work a lot on your core. And so when I first started doing this, we were encouraged very strongly to do the entire class on our elbows and our toes. And over the years, I noticed that the coaches were now telling people it was okay to do the entire class on their knees. And I started wondering why it was that the company changed their whole perspective, because how are people going to get stronger? If you think about doing a push-up, you can do a push-up on your knees, you can do a push-up on your toes. So obviously you need to be stronger to be on your toes. But if you never try it, you're never going to know. So you may spend however many hours in your life doing push-ups on your knees and not getting any stronger because you haven't tried doing a push-up on your toes. And then maybe you're doing push-ups on your toes and you start doing maybe shoulder taps, or you're clapping your hands, you're doing one-arm push-ups, all because you keep pushing it to the next level and keep pushing it to the next level. Many people are not interested in doing that. But at the end of the day, they wonder why they're not moving forward. And this can happen in business. It can happen in personal relationships. So in a personal relationship, maybe you've been doing the same thing, whatever your role is in the relationship, you're doing the same thing day in and day out, year after year after year. And your partner is pushing the envelope. They're constantly educating themselves, bettering themselves, self-improvement. And all of a sudden they turn to you and say, I'm not interested in you anymore. I don't love you anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. And you're in a state of shock. But the question is, why? Why are you in a state of shock? You are doing status quo, but not doing anything more than that. It reminds me when I was in corporate, I sold reward and recognition programs. And part of that, we measured, if you take an entire audience of people, let's say it's salespeople, you're typically going to have the bell-shaped curve where the majority of the people who are in the organization are performing in the middle. And then you're going to have your top performers, and then you're going to have the bottom performers. Well, the people in the middle, based on the research, could be motivated to be moved over towards the top. So they're coming in and doing the same thing day in and day out, but they can shift their energy, their perspective, their desire based on a reward. Whereas the people on the other side of the curve, there's nothing that you can do to motivate them because they're typically just showing up to get a paycheck. Now, we don't always know what the reasons are, but they're doing the absolute minimum so they don't get fired. That's how we look at life when we're talking about the people who are not progressing. We don't want to be in that other quadrant of people. We want to be in the middle, or maybe we're high performers already. And if we are high performers, we need to look at what is it that's driving us, because many times as a high performer, we can get very burnt out because we have to be perfectionists. We constantly have to be bettering ourselves. I know for a lot of my life, I've been interested in gold stars. I wanted to have all the degrees, all the certifications, and I don't know what I was actually trying to prove. But today, at the ripe age of 62, soon to be 63, I only care for myself. I only care about the gold stars for myself. And right now, the gold star that I care the most about is my health. And so whatever it is that's important to you, that will be a predictor of where you put your energy. So I know of people who have expensive gym memberships. In fact, I just met somebody and I was telling him memberships that I have. And then he was telling me that he has a better membership and it's more money. And I said to him, what kind of progress have you had? Progress? What do you mean? Well, since you pay $500 a month to go to this club, what have you gotten from it? Oh, I don't even go. You don't go to the club? No, actually, I just wanted to have the membership so I could say I have it. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. I don't have a judgment about it, but that is something that we do, that we will pay the money to do something, but we don't actually do it because as human beings, we are creatures of doing as little as possible unless there's something to motivate us. And I'm not saying that for everyone, okay? I'm highly motivated. I know a lot of you are. The motivation is aligned with an outcome. If there is no outcome that you have in mind, then you probably will not be at peace with whatever it is. So for example, if you have New Year's resolutions and then in January and February, you're taking action, and then March comes and it's pretty predictable, most people are going to fall off because you didn't really want it enough. It wasn't something that was driving you. It was a nice to have. We all know about nice to haves, but it wasn't something that you couldn't live without. When we have something that drives us, that we're passionate about, it's like what I'm doing today. This is not work to me. Now, is it work? Absolutely. Today, I think this is my fifth show today. It is very hard to come up here and to speak extemporaneously. And I'm also producing the shows. And then I have my clients and I'm producing their shows. So I think today, all in all, will be 8 or 9 shows. That's a lot. But I don't look at it as a job, even though it is a job. I love it. I can't wait until the next time that I get to do it. In fact, I now have a standing desk because I always stand when I'm presenting. And I'm grateful that I get to be here, that I get to stand before you doing this and teaching. Because to me, if I can help someone find peace, that's what drives me. Now, if you are in a situation, and this just comes to mind, many of you might have seen Top Gun with Tom Cruise. I'm a big Tom Cruise fan. And no comments needed. But in that movie, he is frequently called out because he has the same status in the military that he's had for a long time. But he loves doing what he's doing. So to him, it's literally about the ride. And so you can be in the same place in your life, but you love it so much. You don't have aspirations for more titles or for more money. You're just literally high on life, on what you're doing. But for most people, that's not the case. Most people are in the same routine over and over and over again. And they are typically the ones who are asking, I don't know what the purpose I have in life. I don't know why I'm here. Every single day, I do the exact same thing. And they're looking for ways to relax. I had someone say to me recently, do you have any vacations coming up? I don't take vacations because every day to me is a gift. Did I go traveling to Europe last year? Yeah, I was working. I was working the entire time. So that is a gift. But I never wake up and say, oh, you know what? I need to get out of here. I need to go on vacation. I need to find a beach. No, I don't need to do any of those things because my vacation is here. Every day, I'm just grateful that I get to be here for another day. There are plenty of people that I've loved in my life who are no longer here. And so I have the gift of being here just like you do. So if you're not passionate about what you're doing, guess what the good news is? Every day you wake up, you have a choice. You can say to yourself, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. I want to have meaning in my life. Meaning is not determined by someone else. It's not determined by what someone thinks of you. It's determined by the value that you experience in what it is that you're doing. And I ask you to be honest with yourself, to have an honest evaluation with yourself privately. Are you truly happy with where you are in your life? Are you truly happy with whom you're with in your life? We get to a stage in our life, and I mentioned many times, I'm 62. I'll be 63 at the end of this month. I look at life so different than I did before. I took care of my mother during the pandemic. She had dementia, and it was the two of us that we were in the lockdown together. And I really saw how precious life is to watch someone you love so much, who was my best friend, to watch her lose her mind. I mean, think about it. For anybody out there, if you're with someone, you love someone, maybe it's you with dementia or Alzheimer's, to lose your mind. And I started looking at life in a different way. And it's not about what I didn't accomplish or what didn't go right. It's about I am still here and I get to make the choices of what I'm going to do with my time. And so do you. You don't have to stay where you are. Now, I hear what you're saying. I don't have the money. I don't want to hurt anyone. We can all come up with a zillion reasons why. They are just obstacles. If you want something enough, you will find a way. I'm following a gentleman on social media. He was a guest on one of our shows, I would say about 3 years ago. And he's very famous in the country where he is. And he's written a book that's also very well known. and he was diagnosed with cancer. And so he wrote this book, and he was given, I think, 6 months to live. And the man is still living, and he has tracked his entire journey, all of the operations. When I tell you he is in a hospital more than he is not in a hospital, and yet every post he makes, whether he does it or his wife, it's about gratitude. Gratitude that he still is here experiencing these things. So when we think about what we can't do, why don't we change our perspective to what we can do? Because when I see what this man is going through, he has, I'm not even going to go into it. He has really suffered. He is suffering. He is in horrific pain. And it's 3 years later. They said he'd be gone in 6 months, and he still doesn't give up. So to me, I look at the people who really have been handed situations and circumstances that you would never, ever want or put on your worst enemy, and they keep going. So I don't know about you, but most of us have a lot to be thankful for. What do you mean? Well, I just told you about my mother. She lost her mind, and it was the most painful thing that I witnessed. And yet every day she would say the same thing to me. You know what, Jackie? I'm just glad to be here another day. And I used to say, Mom, is that it? Is that all? Is that all there is? And she would say, you know what? One day you'll understand. And so that's what I say to you. We are here and we have the gift of time. Not an endless amount of time, but the time to make the decisions to do what we need to bring us joy, to bring us peace, to bring us clarity. And it's not about looking outside. It's not about what other people's opinions are. Other people will have their opinions, especially if you are someone who doesn't feel good about yourself. If you feel like life has robbed you or given you a bad hand, you're probably angry. You're probably sad. And you look at others and you just rip them apart because you're so unhappy with yourself. You can do something. You can change it. Small, little steps, small choices. Instead of choosing anger, choose gratitude. Instead of being filled with hatred and spewing your hatred about politics and about the world and about other people, go help someone. Go lend a hand. Go volunteer. Do something. You'll feel much better about yourself, I promise. So, getting back to the topic at hand, why is it that some people don't move forward? Well, we've talked a little bit about it already. I now want to talk about businesses. If you have a business and it's not continuing to grow, what are some of the reasons behind it? Well, the first could be that you haven't actually assessed whether you're bringing value. Many times we are pushing products and services on other people. We are pushing features on other people, but we're not actually bringing any value. And there's a really good scene in Wolf of Wall Street, if any of you have seen that movie. And in the movie, Jordan Belfort says to 4 or 5 different people, sell me this pen. Sell me this pen. And it's a pretty pen. It's an attractive pen. It has nice ink. It has a good case. And I think the last guy, he says, yeah, I need to sign something. Give me a pen. Something like that. And it was so obvious of what the point of the pen was. But people were just selling the features. So whatever your business is, what is the value that you are bringing to others? And if you're not sure of what value means, at the end of the day, if someone has to give you their time or their money, you've got to be able to have them feel justified about it. So in other words, if they can't put the two together, time, money, and what they're getting, they're probably not going to come back. So in business, you can respond to a need, you can create a need, but in order for it to be a repeat, there has to be that sense of, I feel like I'm getting something for what I'm giving. And it's the same thing in a relationship. If the relationship is where you're constantly giving or you're constantly asking, that relationship is probably not growing. And although you or the other person might not leave, you're probably both very unfulfilled because it's stagnant. So the key message here is that whatever the situation is, that value is demonstrated through your results and the impact of those results, not just effort. If we go back to the gym example, okay, if you see someone, for example, let's say it's you, let's say it's me. We're at the gym and we get on the treadmill. We're next to each other, we're on the treadmill, and we are going to walk, and I'm just going to pick 2 miles an hour. Okay, 2 miles an hour is a speed at which most people would be able to walk and hold a conversation based on my experience. If every time I go to the gym, I'm doing 2 miles an hour, I'm probably not going to see any changes in my body. Now, when we say changes, I'm even talking about what's going on inside, because we're not pushing ourselves. We're just cruising along. And people will say to me, oh, I walk. That's what I do. I walk too. If I'm going for a walk, it's because I want to clear my head or because that's when my creative process starts to work. But if you're going for a walk and you really want to take it to a level where you're doing something for your physical and mental health, you got to be pushing it. You're at 4.5 miles an hour, maybe 4.6, 7, or 8. Maybe you're going up an incline, but you're changing it up. If you're not changing it up, then you're always going to remain the same. And it's the same thing in business. While you're feeling comfortable with what you've created, somebody you don't even know is coming to displace you, whether they know it or not, because they are on your tail because you become complacent. And it might not be a personal thing. Think about all the things that we don't have anymore. Newspapers. Okay, is there an occasional newspaper? Yeah, but I remember when newspapers, the Sunday newspaper was this thick. People would get the newspapers delivered. Magazines. Are there still magazines? Sure, but people are looking at online magazines. Remember the Kodak camera? Remember those yellow Kodak cameras that were disposable? All those things are irrelevant now because they've been replaced. But at the time, remember the rotary phones? Remember the TVs that had the antennas on them? They've all been replaced. So those companies that invented those, that manufactured those, that held the patents, they got displaced. And that's what's going to happen to all of us. Just when we start feeling comfortable, somebody is coming for us to knock us off the block. So being in our ego and saying we're the best thing since sliced bread, we're the only one who has this, we're setting ourselves up to fail because we're challenging someone to come and take us down. So I want you to think about that. I want you to think about whatever it is you're doing, whatever your business is, how can you take it up a notch? And what can that look like? Maybe it's by whatever the product or services that you have, maybe it's by having something that's an enhancement. If you think about it, when you go on to various websites like Amazon and others, and you go to buy something, they proactively suggest that you buy something along with it. A perfect example is if you buy something and it doesn't come with batteries. People who bought this. Or if you're buying a chandelier or a lamp, people who bought this. You could do the same kind of thing for your business. Or maybe you decide to go in a completely different direction. And I'll give an example of this. Think of Uber. Okay, Uber was just ride sharing. Now there's Uber Eats. So basically, DoorDash, you can have anything delivered to you, whereas before you actually had to go to a store. I'm a DoorDash customer. I do not go grocery shopping. I find it to be a complete and total waste of time. I eat the same food every day. and the same food every week. So I just go on DoorDash. I know that it costs me a fee, but by the time I were to drive there, get all the stuff, bring it back to me, it's a waste of time. So it used to be that everyone had to go somewhere to get something. You would go to the grocery store and they have all those temptations as you're leaving, and you look at, you go, the candy, the this, the that. I don't have any of those temptations because I don't go. So my point is, think about what it is that you could offer that you're not currently offering. Because if you are complacent with where you are, again, the likelihood of you being overtaken, knocked out, thrown out of the ballpark is pretty high. Here's something else I want to talk about. When you ask people to tell you about themselves, many times they'll tell you about their business. They'll tell you about their professional identity because it's so tied to their self-worth. And if you question someone's work in this situation, they feel like you're attacking them. So it makes it difficult to evaluate whether or not the strategy the person has or the directive they have is still efficient or effective. We have to be able to separate our personal identity from our professional identity. Because if we're not willing to do that, we're not open to feedback. And if we're not open to feedback, then we're losing a lot of opportunity. Feedback is very important depending on how you give the feedback. I always like the sandwich approach, and you've probably heard of it before, but you say something nice, then give the feedback, and then say something nice. And then this way, you give the person the information in a professional way, and you leave them feeling good. But if you're not open to feedback, you could be missing something. And I've seen this. I do a lot of business coaching and private advisory. I've seen this with clients where they get highly offended if you suggest something. And the people I like to work with, they're open to the feedback. They're receptive. They want the feedback because when we get the feedback, it'd be something that we've never thought of ourselves. So for me personally, I always have 5 or 6 mentors, people who know more than I do, people who have more experience than I do. And so I'll tap into that and I'll say, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. What are your thoughts? Or what have you seen with this? Because I don't know everything about the television industry. In fact, 4 years ago, I didn't know anything about it. And today, what I've learned is literally priceless, but I didn't get it all on my own. I think now I've done over 10,000 interviews. And to be able to have what was a hobby as a radio show out of New York and now have 60 shows in over 60 countries in 3 languages, I didn't do it by myself. I've had mentors. I've had people along the way who wanted to give a hand and help me. And I still have that because I'm not done. There's more to do. There's more to give. There's more to be in service of. So what I'd like you to think as I close out this episode is, where is it that you feel in your life that you might be stuck? Where is it that you want to move forward, but don't know how to do it? Ask for help. Ask for mentors. Do some research. Maybe take yourself away from the environment that you're currently in and just start to think about it. How can I get from here to there? And I'll share something else. So 4 years ago, what I had written was my doctoral dissertation. I rewrote it 118 times because that's what my mentor and my committee required. And they told me that in the beginning, that it's not an easy journey. But since then, I hadn't written anything. And then I was taking care of my mother. I was retired from corporate. And I just decided to write a book. And so my very first book I have here, it's The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, the Listening Mentor. And Lady Ella is this ladybug, and she goes around the world teaching children and their families how to listen. And the book was dedicated to my great niece, Ella. And since that time, this book was an Amazon #1 bestseller. I'm on my 27th book. And of the 27 books, only one of them has not been an Amazon #1 new release or bestseller. Now, is that just happened fortuitously? No. I made it happen because I studied what it is you need to do from a marketing perspective. And I didn't rely on anyone else. I did it myself. So once you learn how to do things yourself, then you can hire other people, because then you can understand, are they doing it correctly? Do they know what they're doing? Because there's a lot of charlatans out there. There are a lot of people out there who will tell you that they can do X, Y, and Z only to take your money and not deliver. Look at your life. Where is it that you're stuck? Where is it that you have joy? Where is it that you'd like to have more joy? And then start to put a strategy together, start to put a plan together. Actually be open to changing some things that may make you feel uncomfortable. Right now, I am currently enrolled in the Wharton School, and I'm taking the Chief Strategy Officer program. And do I need to do this? It was $20,000. Do I need to do it? I already have a doctorate and a master's degree. Yeah, I think I do, because I'm a lifelong learner. I'm interested in learning. I want to hear what my cohorts have to say. I want to hear what the professors are sharing with case studies. I'm constantly putting myself in an uncomfortable position so that I can grow and learn. Because otherwise, I could be like a lot of people I know who are my age. They're retired, they're golfing, they're fishing. Good for them. I have no interest in doing that. Good for them. I'm not judging anyone. For me, I need that constant curiosity about, how can I do more? How can I give back? Who can I help? And so I take what I'm learning with my education and I help others. So to me, it makes it completely worthwhile, because I'm using what I've learned, the knowledge that I have that other people couldn't afford, and I'm helping them. You have it within you to help other people, but you have to be honest. What is it that's keeping you back? Are you angry? Are you mad? Are you expressing hatred right now? We have so many comments, I can't see what they are. But if you put a comment that's negative or mean, why? Why are you doing it? You can go watch some other show, right? You could look in the mirror and really have an eye-to-eye, heart-to-heart with yourself, because are you that perfect? Are you that terrific? Or are you just sitting in a place of judgment because you're hurting? And I give you grace. I'm sorry for you who is hurting. I really am. But you've got to find a way to help yourself. Wallowing around in self-pity or living in fear is not going to help you. It's not. I follow people who are going through some of the worst things you can imagine in life, and they are coming out on top. It might not be pretty. It might be filled with pain, but they are people who are inspiring, because they're not sitting around judging. They're not pointing fingers. They're not saying he's wrong, she's right. They're doing what they need to do. And that's a gift for each and every one of us. We all have a choice. How will you spend your time? Who will you let into your life? Who will you decide to eliminate? What will you watch? What will you listen? What will you take in, and how will you incorporate it so that you can find a life of peace, so that you can give back, so that you can help others, so that when your time comes and you leave this earth, you have no regrets, because you followed your heart. You followed your intuition. You were a good person, and you helped others. Thank you so much for watching and listening and engaging. If you would like to, please do subscribe to our YouTube channels, USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. We're also on other social media platforms, and we also become a podcast later in the week on the major Spotify, Amazon, Apple, etc. So I'd like to leave you with this. I have recorded my first and probably my only single. I went to London and actually had a professional recording of a song that my friend and I wrote. and it's called Please Listen to What I Say. I'm just going to play the movie trailer, and then if you would like it, you can go over to Apple, to Amazon, to Spotify to download it. It's called Please Listen to What I Say. This is me singing, and in the background is my friend, Dr. Madeline Chan. Thank you again for watching. We'll be back with another episode.
Listen, babe, now, listen, babe, now. Listen, babe, now, listen, babe, now. Listen, babe, now, listen, babe, now.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.